The dust storm on the mining colony had been raging for 3 days. Daehyun sat in his makeshift shelter, listening to the wind howl against the metal walls. He was alone, as he had been for 3 years now. The settlement around him was dead, abandoned long ago when the wars came and burned Earth to ash. He didn't expect visitors. Nobody came to this forgotten rock anymore. The mines were empty, the equipment was broken, and the only thing left was silence and red dust. That's why he liked it here. No aliens, no questions, just survival. The motion sensor beeped. Daehyun grabbed his rifle and moved to the window. Through the swirling dust, he saw a shape. It was tall, walking with purpose through the storm like the wind didn't exist. His finger moved to the trigger. The last time someone found him, they tried to kill him. He wouldn't make that mistake again. The figure reached his door and knocked. Not a bang or a crash, a knock, like a guest asking permission. "I know you're in there, human," a voice called out. It was female, speaking in perfect Earth language. "I mean you no harm. I've been searching all over the galaxy for you." Daehyun's blood went cold. Nobody searched for humans anymore. They hunted them. He stayed quiet, hoping she would leave. "My name is Ji-won," the voice continued. "I'm from the Valthine Empire. I know you have no reason to trust me, but please just listen. I have information about other humans, survivors. You're not alone. Other humans." The words hit him like a punch. For 3 years, he believed he was the last one, the only human left in a galaxy that wanted his species dead. But this could be a trap. The Krillians were clever. They used lies like weapons. "Go away!" Daehyun shouted through the door. "I don't want your lies." "I'm not lying," Ji-won said. Her voice was calm, patient. "I have a data crystal. It contains coordinates to human colony ships that escaped Earth. 5 of them. But the data is encrypted. It needs human DNA to unlock it. That's why I've been searching for you." Daehyun pressed his back against the wall. 5 colony ships. If that was true, if even one survived, then humanity had a chance. But he couldn't trust aliens. Not after what they did. "Why should I believe you?" he asked. There was a pause. Then Ji-won spoke again, and this time her voice was different. Softer. Sad. 20 years ago, my home world suffered a plague. The Valthine people were dying. Our medicine couldn't stop it. We were ready to accept extinction. Then a human medical ship arrived. One doctor stayed behind when everyone else fled. His name was Kim Taejin. He worked for months, never sleeping, never giving up. He saved my family. He saved millions of us. When the Krillians destroyed Earth, I made a promise. I would find the humans he saved and repay the debt. Daehyun closed his eyes. Kim Taejin. He knew that name. Everyone did. Taejin was a legend among the medical corps. A man who believed healing had no borders, no species. He died when Earth burned. You knew him? Daehyun asked. He saved my sister's life, Ji-won replied. I was 12 years old. I watched him work until his hands bled. He never asked for anything in return. That's when I learned what honor truly means. Please, Daehyun, let me repay that debt. She knew his name. How did she know his name? Your identification tag, Ji-won said, as if reading his thoughts. I found it in the colony records. You were an engineer on Earth before the Exodus. You worked on the shield generators that protected the evacuation ships. You saved thousands of people. Let me help you save more. Daehyun looked at his rifle, then at the door. He was tired. Tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of being alone. Maybe this was a trap. Maybe she would kill him the moment he opened the door. But maybe, just maybe, she was telling the truth. He lowered his weapon and opened the door. The dust storm framed her like a ghost. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, with purple skin that had bioluminescent markings running down her arms and face. Her eyes were gold, bright even in the dim light. She wore armor that looked both ancient and advanced, covered in scratches and dents from countless battles. In her hand she held a small crystal that glowed with a soft blue light. Thank you, she said, stepping inside. The door closed behind her, shutting out the storm. They stood in silence for a moment, studying each other. Daehyun saw a warrior, someone who had fought and survived as much as he had. Ji-won saw a tired man with too many scars, someone who had lost everything but refused to give up. Show me, Daehyun said, pointing at the crystal. Ji-won placed it on the table. It was small, barely the size of his thumb, but the glow was hypnotic. She pressed something on her wrist device and a hologram appeared above the crystal. It showed a star map, but most of it was blank, covered in red locks. The data is protected, Ji-won explained. I've tried everything. The encryption requires human genetic markers to unlock. Without it, the coordinates stay hidden. Daehyun reached for the crystal. The moment his skin touched it, the glow brightened. The red locks began to fade one by one until the entire map appeared before them. 5 green points of light scattered across the galaxy. 5 human colonies, it's real, Daehyun whispered. His hands were shaking. They're real. The nearest one is 3 weeks away, Jiwon said. A planet called Taeyang 3, but we have to move fast. The Krillian Dominion is still hunting for human survivors. If they find these colonies before we do. She didn't need to finish. Daehyun knew what the Krillians did to humans. He had seen it. He had nightmares about it. Why are you doing this? He asked, looking up at her. Why risk everything for a species you barely know? Jiwon met his eyes. Her expression was fierce, determined. Because Kim Taejin taught me that honor is not just about fighting for your own people. It's about fighting for what's right. The galaxy tried to erase humanity because you were too strong, too stubborn, too dangerous. They feared you because you never surrendered. That's not a crime. That's survival. And I believe the galaxy needs that spirit. It needs humans. Before Daehyun could respond, an alarm shrieked through the shelter. His motion sensors were going crazy. He ran to the window and looked out. Through the clearing dust storm, he saw them. 4 ships, black and angular, descending from the sky. Krillian scouts, they found us, he said. Jiwon drew her weapon, a blade that crackled with energy. Then we fight. Daehyun grabbed his rifle and checked the charge. It was almost empty. 3 years alone had used up most of his ammunition. But that didn't matter. He was human. Humans didn't need much to fight. They just needed a reason. There's a ship behind the settlement, he said. If we can reach it, we can escape. Together, Jiwon said. Together, Daehyun agreed. The Krillian ships landed, and the hunt began. The Krillian scouts moved through the settlement like predators. Daehyun watched them from behind a broken cargo container. There were 12 of them, each standing over 8 feet tall with 4 arms and bodies covered in black chitinous armor. Their heads reminded him of insects with multiple eyes that could see in every direction at once. They're searching the buildings, Jiwon whispered beside him. She had her blade ready, the energy crackling softly. We need to move now while they're spread out. Daehyun nodded. His shelter was on the east side of the settlement. Jiwon's ship, the Crimson Talon, was parked on the west side about 200 meters away. Between them and the ship were 12 Krillian scouts who would kill them on sight. Can you fly that thing alone? Daehyun asked. I've been flying alone for 10 years, Jiwon replied. Can you shoot straight? Daehyun checked his rifle. 15 shots left. 15 shots against 12 enemies with armor. The math wasn't good, but math never stopped a human before. I'll shoot straight enough, he said. They moved low and fast between the buildings. The dust storm was fading, which meant less cover but better visibility. Daehyun's heart pounded in his chest. He hadn't fought anyone in over a year. He was out of practice, out of ammunition, and out of luck. But he wasn't out of spite. That was the thing about humans. They could run on spite longer than most species could run on food. A Krillian appeared around the corner ahead of them. Its multiple eyes locked onto Daehyun immediately. It raised its weapon, a plasma rifle that could burn through steel. Jiwon moved faster. Her blade flashed in the dim light, cutting through the Krillian's weapon and then through its arm. The creature screeched, a sound like metal scraping metal. Before it could alert the others, Daehyun fired. 1 shot to the head. The Krillian dropped 14 shots left. Quietly, Jiwon said, dragging the body behind a container. They kept moving. The settlement was a maze of abandoned buildings and rusted equipment. Daehyun knew every corner, every hiding spot. He had lived here for 3 years, surviving on scraps and loneliness. Now he was leaving, possibly forever, and he felt nothing about it. This place was never home. It was just a hole to hide in. Another Krillian spotted them. This one was faster, smarter. It fired before Daehyun could react. The plasma bolt went wide, hitting the wall behind them and melting a hole through the metal. Jiwon threw her blade. It spun through the air like a boomerang, cutting through the Krillian's chest armor before returning to her hand. The creature fell without a sound. You're good, Daehyun said. I've had practice, Jiwon replied. They reached the maintenance hangar where Jiwon's ship was hidden. The Crimson Talon was sleek and dangerous looking, painted in dark red with gold markings along the hull. It was built for speed and combat, not comfort. Daehyun liked it immediately. But between them and the ship were 5 Krillians all grouped together and scanning the area. Too many, Jiwon said. If we attack, the others will hear. Daehyun looked around. The hangar was filled with old mining equipment. Most of it was broken, but not all of it. He saw a fuel tank still half full. He saw a loading crane with a heavy cargo container. He saw possibilities. I have an idea, he said. But you're not going to like it. Tell me, Jiwon said. Daehyun explained quickly. Jiwon stared at him like he was insane. That's your plan? She asked. That's suicide. No, Daehyun said with a grim smile. Suicide is giving up. This is just stupid. And stupid works when nothing else does. Before Jiwon could argue, Daehyun moved. He ran toward the fuel tank, firing his rifle at it. The shots punctured the metal and fuel began spraying out. The Krillians noticed immediately and turned their weapons toward him. Human detected, one of them screamed. Kill it! They opened fire. Daehyun dove behind a pillar as plasma bolts exploded around him. He counted shots. 3, 4, 5. The fuel was spreading across the hangar floor, pooling around the Krillians' feet. They didn't notice. They were too focused on killing him. Jiwon understood the plan now. While the Krillians were distracted, she moved to the loading crane and activated it. The cargo container lifted into the air, silent and slow. She positioned it directly above the 5 Krillians. Now, Daehyun shouted. He fired his last shot at the fuel pooling on the ground. The spark ignited the fuel and flames exploded across the hangar floor. The Krillians screamed and scattered. At the same moment, Jiwon released the cargo container. 2 tons of metal dropped onto 3 of the Krillians, crushing them instantly. The remaining 2 were on fire, screaming and rolling on the ground. Jiwon's blade ended their suffering. Stupid but effective, Jiwon said, breathing hard. Welcome to human tactics, Daehyun replied. They ran to the ship. The boarding ramp lowered and they rushed inside. Daehyun took a seat in the co-pilot chair while Jiwon started the engines. The remaining Krillians had heard the explosion and were converging on the hangar. Hold on, Jiwon said. The ship lifted off just as plasma fire started hitting the hull. The shields absorbed most of it, but Daehyun saw the energy meter dropping fast. They weren't going to last long under this much fire. Punch it! He shouted. Jiwon slammed the throttle forward. The Crimson Talon shot out of the hangar like a bullet, climbing fast into the sky. The Krillian ships tried to follow, but they were too slow. Within seconds, they broke atmosphere and entered space. Daehyun let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. They made it. They actually made it. That was close, he said. Too close, Jiwon agreed. She set the navigation system for Taeyang 3 and engaged the autopilot. Then she turned to look at Daehyun. You're insane. You know that, right? I've been called worse, Daehyun said. They sat in silence for a moment, both processing what just happened. They were alive. They were free. And they were heading toward other humans. Daehyun still couldn't believe it. After 3 years of thinking he was alone, he might actually see his people again. Tell me about them, he said quietly. The other humans. What do you know? Jiwon pulled up the star map again. The 5 green points glowed softly. Not much, she admitted. The data crystal only has coordinates, not details. But from what I've gathered, these were colony ships that escaped during Earth's final days. They were part of the Exodus fleet. When the Krillian Dominion launched their attack, humanity sent out every ship they could. Most were destroyed. These 5 made it through. How long have they been out there? Daehyun asked. 20 years, Jiwon said. Maybe more. 20 years. An entire generation born in space, never seeing Earth, never knowing what their home world looked like before it burned. Daehyun felt a weight in his chest. Those children would only know humans as refugees, as survivors. They wouldn't know humanity's glory days when humans walked on dozens of worlds and built cities that touched the clouds. Why did they do it? Daehyun asked. Why did the galaxy turn against us? Jiwon was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was careful. Because you were too strong, she said. Not physically, but mentally. Humans never gave up, ever. Other species, when they lose a battle, they retreat. They reconsider. They negotiate. But humans? You fought until you won or until you died. There was no middle ground. The galaxy's powers were afraid of that. They were afraid that one day humans would decide they wanted to rule instead of cooperate. So they destroyed us first, Daehyun said bitterly. Yes, Jiwon said. It was genocide dressed up as military necessity. The Krillian Dominion led the attack, but others supported it. Some even celebrated it. They thought removing humanity would bring peace, did it? Daehyun asked. Jiwon shook her head. No, it brought guilt and fear. because now they know what they're capable of. If they could destroy humanity for being strong, what's stopping them from destroying each other? Daehyun looked out the window at the stars streaming past. Somewhere out there, humans were alive, building, surviving, refusing to die. We're going to find them, he said. All of them. And then we're going to show the galaxy that you can't kill humanity with fire. You just make us angry, Ji-won smiled. It was the first time Daehyun saw her smile, and it was fierce and wild. That's the spirit I was looking for, she said. That's why I searched for you. Welcome back to the fight, human. Daehyun smiled back. For the first time in 3 years, he felt something other than emptiness. He felt purpose. The ship jumped to light speed and they left the dead colony behind forever. The journey to Taeyang 3 would take 3 weeks if everything went perfectly. Nothing ever went perfectly. Daehyun spent the first few days learning the ship. The Crimson Talon was Valthene technology, which meant everything was designed for someone much taller than him. He had to adjust the co-pilot seat, reprogram the control interfaces, and jury-rig a few systems just to reach the buttons. Ji-won watched him work with quiet amusement. Do all humans modify everything they touch? She asked. Only when things aren't built right, Daehyun replied, rewiring a control panel. No offense, but your people designed this ship for warriors, not for efficiency. What's the difference? Ji-won asked. Daehyun held up a bundle of wires. A warrior wants the weapons button close to their hand. An engineer wants the weapons button far away from everything else so you don't accidentally fire missiles when you're trying to adjust the heat. Ji-won laughed. It was a deep, genuine sound. Fair point. They fell into a routine. Ji-won handled navigation and monitoring for threats. Daehyun maintained the ship's systems, which were in worse shape than Ji-won admitted. The shields were running at 70% capacity. The engines had a coolant leak. The life support system made a rattling noise that nobody could explain. But Daehyun fixed what he could with spare parts and improvisation. You're good at this, Ji-won said one evening as Daehyun finished replacing a burned-out power converter. I had a lot of practice, Daehyun said. 3 years alone means fixing everything yourself or dying. Is that why you survived? Ji-won asked. Because you're an engineer? Daehyun shook his head. I survived because I'm human. We're too stubborn to die. Ji-won studied him for a moment. Tell me about Earth before it fell. What was it like? Daehyun set down his tools. Nobody had asked him about Earth in years. Most aliens didn't care. They saw humans as ghosts, relics of a dead civilization. But Ji-won was different. She genuinely wanted to know. It was beautiful, Daehyun said quietly. Blue oceans, green forests, cities that reached into the sky. We had problems, sure. Wars, poverty, pollution. But we were fixing it. Slowly, we were getting better. What happened? Ji-won asked. How did it fall so fast? Daehyun's expression hardened. Betrayal. The Krillian Dominion asked for a diplomatic meeting. Said they wanted to discuss trade agreements. Our leaders went in good faith. That was the mistake. The moment our defense fleet left Earth orbit for the meeting, the Krillians attacked. They bombed our cities, our bases, our shipyards. Billions died in the first hour. And the Exodus fleet? Ji-won asked. It was a miracle, Daehyun said. While the planet was burning, engineers like me worked to get every functional ship off the ground. Cargo haulers, colony ships, passenger shuttles, even some old military vessels from museums. We loaded everyone we could and ran. Most ships were destroyed before they reached light speed, but some made it. Those 5 colonies in the data crystal, maybe more. Ji-won was silent for a moment. Then she spoke softly. The galaxy thought they were doing the right thing. Humanity was expanding too fast, adapting too quickly. Every time humans faced a problem, you found a way around it. Other species saw that as threatening. So they killed us for being smart? Daehyun said bitterly. They killed you for being human, Ji-won replied. For being unpredictable. For refusing to follow the same patterns as everyone else. That's what scared them. Daehyun stood up and walked to the window. The stars streaked past in lines of light. Somewhere out there, the Krillians were still hunting, still trying to finish what they started. They should have made sure we were all dead, Daehyun said, because now we know what they're capable of. And humans never forget. Ji-won joined him at the window. Is that a threat or a promise? Both, Daehyun said. The alarm interrupted them. Ji-won rushed to the pilot seat and checked the sensors. Her expression darkened. We have company, she said. 3 ships. Pirates by the look of them. Daehyun checked the scanners. The three ships were smaller than the Crimson Talon, but faster. They were closing in quickly, weapons charging. Can we outrun them? Daehyun asked. Not with the coolant leak, Ji-won said. If I push the engines too hard, we'll overheat and lose power. Then we fight, Daehyun said. The pirate ships opened fire. Energy bolts struck the shields, draining them rapidly. Ji-won maneuvered hard, spinning the ship to avoid another volley. Daehyun grabbed the weapon controls and fired back. His shots missed. The pirate ships were too fast. I can't hit them, Daehyun shouted over the alarms. Then don't aim where they are, Ji-won shouted back. Aim where they're going to be. Daehyun watched the pirates' flight patterns. They were moving in predictable arcs, trying to flank the Crimson Talon from multiple angles. He waited for the right moment, tracked the lead ship's trajectory and fired. Direct hit. The pirate ship's shields flared and collapsed. A second shot took out its engines. The ship went dark and drifted away. 2 left, Ji-won said, but 2 was still too many. The shields were failing. 1 more good hit and they would breach the hull. Daehyun's mind raced. They needed an advantage, something the pirates wouldn't expect. How much control do we have over the life support system? Daehyun asked suddenly. What? Ji-won looked at him like he was crazy. Why are you asking about life support in the middle of a fight? Just answer, Daehyun said. Complete control. Why? Daehyun grinned. Because I have a stupid idea. He accessed the life support system and vented all the oxygen from the cargo bay into space. The gas exploded outward in a white cloud, obscuring the sensors of the pursuing pirate ships. They slowed down, confused by the sudden obstruction. Now turn us around, Daehyun said. Ji-won understood immediately. She flipped the ship in a tight spiral, bringing them face to face with the 2 pirate ships as they emerged from the gas cloud. At point-blank range, Daehyun opened fire with everything they had. Missiles, energy cannons, even the defensive turrets. The pirates had no time to react. Both ships were torn apart in seconds. Silence filled the cockpit. The threat was gone. They were alive. That was insane, Ji-won said, breathing hard. That was human, Daehyun corrected. We use everything. Even our own air supply. Ji-won laughed despite herself. The galaxy wasn't wrong about you people being unpredictable. Daehyun checked the damage reports. The shields were down to 20%. The engines were overheating. And they still had 2 weeks of travel ahead of them. Can we make it? He asked. Ji-won studied the console. If nothing else attacks us, and if you can keep the engines from exploding, then yes. No pressure, Daehyun muttered. He spent the next few hours rerouting power, patching damaged systems and cooling the engines with improvised heat sinks made from cargo containers. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. The ship limped forward through space, wounded but alive. That night, as Ji-won slept and the ship flew on autopilot, Daehyun sat alone in the cockpit. He thought about the pirates, about the Krillians, about all the aliens who saw humans as either threats or prey. None of them understood what made humans special. It wasn't strength or technology or even intelligence. It was the refusal to quit. Humans could be beaten down, burned, scattered across the galaxy. But they would get back up. They would improvise, adapt, overcome. They would turn scraps into weapons and impossible odds into victories. That was the human spirit. That was what terrified the galaxy. And soon, very soon, the galaxy would remember why. Daehyun pulled up the star map and looked at the 5 green points of light. 5 human colonies, 5 chances to rebuild, 5 reasons to keep fighting. We're coming, he whispered to the stars. Hold on. We're coming. The Crimson Talon pushed forward through the darkness, carrying its crew toward hope and home. Behind them, the wreckage of pirate ships drifted in the void, a warning to anyone who thought humans were easy prey. They weren't. They never were. And the galaxy was about to remember that lesson the hard way. Taeyang 3 looked like a dead world from orbit. The scanners showed basic atmosphere and water, but no cities, no lights, no signs of civilization. Daehyun felt his hope crumbling. Are we sure this is the right place? He asked. Ji-won checked the coordinates again. This is what the data crystal showed. Taeyang 3, 3rd planet in the Hanbit system. There's nothing here, Daehyun said. No settlements, no communication signals, nothing. Maybe they're hiding, Ji-won suggested. If I were trying to avoid detection, I'd use cloaking technology. Daehyun wanted to believe that. He wanted to believe that somewhere on that empty-looking planet, humans were alive and well. But 3 years of disappointment had taught him not to hope too much. Let's go down and look, he said. They entered the atmosphere carefully, scanning for any signs of life. The planet was mostly green, covered in thick forests and wide oceans. It was beautiful in a wild, untamed way, perfect for hiding a colony. They landed near a clearing beside a river. The moment Daehyun stepped off the ship, he felt it. Something was watching them, Ji-won, he said quietly. We're not alone. She drew her blade. Where? Before Daehyun could answer, figures emerged from the forest. Dozens of them, all human, all armed with weapons ranging from modern rifles to improvised spears. They surrounded the landing site in seconds, their weapons pointed at Daehyun and Ji-won. Don't move, one of them shouted. He was a man in his 30s, wearing makeshift armor covered in mud and leaves. Identify yourselves. Daehyun raised his hand slowly. His heart was pounding, but not from fear. From joy. These were humans. Real living humans. My name is Daehyun, he called back. I'm human from Earth. I'm not your enemy. The man's eyes narrowed. Prove it. Tell me something only a human would know. Daehyun thought quickly. Earth was destroyed 20 years ago by the Krillian Dominion. Before that, our capital city was Seoul. Our planet had 1 moon. We had 7 continents and 5 oceans. The last thing we broadcasted before the planet fell was a Mozart symphony. Requiem in D minor. The man lowered his weapon slightly. What about her? He pointed at Ji-won. She's Valthine, Daehyun said. She's a friend. She helped me find you. If it wasn't for her, I'd still be hiding in a dead colony thinking I was alone. The man studied Ji-won with clear suspicion. Several other colonists muttered angrily. One woman spat on the ground. We don't trust aliens, the man said. They killed our world. They hunted us across the galaxy. Give me one reason not to shoot her right now. Daehyun stepped between Ji-won and the weapons. Because she's the reason you're alive. She's the one who found this place. She's the one carrying information about 4 other human colonies. And she risked her life to bring me here. If you want to shoot someone, shoot me first. The tension was thick enough to cut. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then a woman emerged from the group. She was older, maybe mid-40s, with gray streaks in her black hair and eyes that had seen too much. But she walked with authority. Stand down, she ordered. The armed colonist hesitated but obeyed. She approached Daehyun and studied his face. My name is Minji. I lead this colony. Welcome to Taeyang 3. Thank you, Daehyun said, relief flooding through him. Minji looked at Ji-won. Your friend will need to be watched. We've learned the hard way that trust is earned, not given. I understand, Ji-won said calmly. I would do the same in your position. Minji nodded. Good, then follow me. We have much to discuss. The colony was hidden underground beneath the forest floor. They had built it into a massive cave system, using advanced cloaking technology to hide their heat signatures and electromagnetic emissions. The entrance was concealed so perfectly that Daehyun wouldn't have found it even if he searched for years. Inside, the colony was thriving. Thousands of people lived here, farming under artificial lights, maintaining equipment, raising children. Daehyun saw schools, medical centers, even a small marketplace. It was a complete society hidden from the galaxy. How many? Daehyun asked as they walked through the main cavern. 8,412, Minji said. We started with 2,000 when we landed 20 years ago. The rest were born here. Born here, Daehyun repeated. An entire generation that had never seen Earth. Children who only knew life underground, hiding from a galaxy that wanted them dead. They reached a meeting room, a simple space carved from rock with a table and chairs. A man was waiting there, tall and muscular with scars across his face. His expression was hard, angry. This is Junho, Minji said, head of security. Junho didn't offer his hand. He just stared at Ji-won with pure hatred. Why is that thing still alive? He asked. Because I said so, Minji replied firmly. Junho, please, please what? Junho's voice rose. Please forget that aliens murdered our families? Please forget that they burned our world? Please forget that we've been hiding like rats for 20 years because of them? I haven't forgotten anything, Minji said quietly. But if we're going to survive, we need to be smarter than our enemies. That means listening before we act. Junho sat down, but his hand never left his weapon. Ji-won placed the data crystal on the table. There are 4 other human colonies. I can help you find them. Why? Junho demanded. What do you gain from this? Honor, Ji-won said simply. A human saved my people once. I'm repaying that debt. One good human doesn't erase what your kind did, Junho said. You're right, Ji-won agreed. It doesn't, but I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm offering help. What you do with it is your choice. Minji activated the data crystal. The holographic map appeared, showing the 4 remaining colonies. Everyone in the room leaned forward, studying the locations. They're scattered, Minji observed. Hasten 7, Bial Station, Minjok Prime, and Terra Nova. We need to contact them, Daehyun said. Unite the colonies. If we work together, we can defend ourselves. Or we can paint targets on our backs, Junho countered. The moment we start communicating, the Krillians will find us. They'll find us anyway, Daehyun argued. It's only a matter of time. Better to be ready together than die alone. Easy for you to say, Junho shot back. You weren't here. You didn't watch half our people die in the first year because we didn't have enough food or medicine. You didn't bury children who died from diseases we couldn't cure. We survived by hiding. I'm not going to throw that away. And I'm not asking you to, Daehyun said. I'm asking you to prepare. Because hiding only works until someone finds you. The room fell silent. Minji looked between Daehyun and Junho, then at the star map. We'll put it to a vote, she said finally. The people of this colony will decide whether to make contact with the other colonies or remain hidden. That's fair, Daehyun said. Junho stood abruptly. I know how this vote will go. People are desperate. They want to believe we can be strong again. But desperation makes you stupid. It gets you killed. He looked directly at Ji-won. And trusting aliens is the stupidest thing of all. He left the room, slamming the door behind him. Minji sighed. I apologize for Junho. He's not wrong to be angry. We've all lost people we love. I understand, Daehyun said. Over the next few days, Daehyun explored the colony and met the people. Most welcomed him with tears and embraces. They were starving for contact with other humans, hungry for news that they weren't alone. But some were like Junho, angry and suspicious, especially toward Ji-won. One young woman approached Daehyun in the marketplace. She was maybe 19, with bright eyes and dirt under her fingernails from working in the farms. Is it true? She asked. Are there really 4 more colonies? Yes, Daehyun said. I've seen the data. What are they like? She asked eagerly. Are they big? Do they have ships? Are they hiding like us? I don't know yet, Daehyun admitted. But we're going to find out. The girl's smile was brilliant. I hope so. I've never met anyone from outside this colony. I want to see other humans. I want to know what we were like before the war. We were brave, Daehyun said, just like you are now. The vote came back 3 days later. 7,000 voted to make contact with the other colonies. 1,000 voted to stay hidden. It was enough. Minji called a meeting with Daehyun and Ji-won. We'll send messages to the other 4 colonies. But it will take time for them to respond. Weeks, maybe months. We don't have months, Daehyun said. We need to. The alarm cut him off. Red lights flashed throughout the colony. People started running. What's happening? Daehyun demanded. Minji's face went pale. Krillian dreadnought in orbit. Someone betrayed us. The colony erupted into chaos as everyone realized the same terrible truth. After 20 years of hiding, they'd been found, and the Krillians were here to finish what they started. The first orbital strike hit the forest 3 kilometers from the colony entrance. The ground shook like an earthquake. Trees exploded into flames. Animals screamed and fled in all directions. Inside the underground colony, lights flickered and dust fell from the ceiling. Everyone to the deep shelters, Minji shouted. Her voice echoed through the communication system. This is not a drill. Security teams, defensive positions now. Daehyun grabbed his rifle and ran toward the command center. Ji-won was beside him, her blade already drawn. Around them, colonists were running in organized chaos. Parents carried children. Medical staff moved supplies. Despite the panic, everyone knew their roles. They had practiced for this day, hoping it would never come. How did they find us? Daehyun shouted over another explosion. I don't know, Minji said when they reached the command center. She was pulling up tactical displays showing the Krillian dreadnought in orbit. It was massive, 10 times the size of any human ship. Our cloaking has never failed before. Junho entered the room. His expression was strange, guilty and angry at the same time. I know how they found us, he said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. Junho? Minji's voice was confused. What are you talking about? I made a deal, Junho said. His hands were shaking. 3 days ago, I contacted the Krillians. I told them where we are. The room went dead silent. Daehyun felt his blood turn cold. You did what? Minji whispered. I told them about the colony, Junho said, louder now. But I made a deal. I give them the alien and they leave us alone. That was the agreement. Just the alien, not us. He pointed at Jiwon. Everyone's eyes followed. You betrayed us for her? Daehyun said, his voice shaking with rage. I betrayed her for us, Kunyo shouted. 1 alien life for 8,000 human lives. That's not betrayal. That's survival. Another orbital strike hit closer. The lights went out for a moment before emergency power kicked in. They're not stopping, Minji said, staring at the tactical display. Junho, they're bombing the colony. They said they would take the alien and leave, Junho said, but doubt crept into his voice. That was the deal. You trusted the Krillians? Daehyun grabbed Junho by his armor. You trusted the species that burned Earth? Are you insane? I was protecting our people, Junho yelled back. By killing them? Daehyun released him and pointed at the display. Look, they're not here for Jiwon. They're here to finish us. All of us, Junho looked at the screen. The Krillian dreadnought was charging weapons for another strike. His face crumbled as reality hit him. No, he whispered. They promised. They lied, Jiwon said calmly. She didn't sound angry, just tired. The Krillians don't make deals with humans. They exterminate them. You should have known that. I had to do something. Junho's voice broke. We can't hide forever. Sooner or later, they'd find us anyway. I thought if I gave them what they wanted, maybe we'd have a chance. You took away our only chance, Minji said. Her voice was cold. You took away our surprise. Now they know we're here and we have nowhere to run. The next orbital strike hit directly above the colony. The ceiling cracked. Rocks fell. Someone screamed. The structural integrity warning blared. We need to evacuate, Daehyun said. Get everyone out through the emergency tunnels. There's no time, Minji said. The dreadnought will track anyone who leaves. They'll hunt us down one by one. Then we fight, Daehyun said. Fight with what? Minji gestured at the display. We have 300 fighters with outdated weapons against a dreadnought with planetary bombardment capabilities. It's suicide. Then we die fighting, Daehyun said. That's what humans do. Jiwon stepped forward. There might be another way. The dreadnought wants me, right? Let me go to them. Maybe I can buy you time to escape. No, Daehyun said immediately. It's logical, Jiwon argued. 1 life for thousands. It's pointless, Daehyun shot back. They'll kill you and then kill us anyway. We're not trading you for false hope. Another strike. Closer. The command center shook violently. Then what do we do? Minji asked desperately. Daehyun looked at the tactical display, at the dreadnought in orbit, at the colony's limited defenses, at the scared faces around him, and he remembered what made humans dangerous. We fight smart, he said. Junho, you know the cave systems better than anyone. Can you lead strike teams through the tunnels to different exit points across the continent? Yes, Junho said quietly. But why? Because we're not going to fight them here, Daehyun said. We're going to spread out. Make them come down to find us. Turn this planet into a nightmare for them. Guerrilla warfare. Hit and run. Make them pay for every meter of ground. That will only delay them, Minji said. Then while they're delayed, we take their ship, Daehyun said. Everyone stared at him. You want to board a Krillian dreadnought? Minji asked. That's impossible. Impossible is a human specialty, Daehyun said. We disguise one of our shuttles as debris. Float it up to the dreadnought. They won't be expecting an attack from below while they're bombing the surface. Once we're inside, we sabotage their reactor. Big explosion. No more dreadnought. And no more you, Minji said. Daehyun, this is a suicide mission. Only if we fail, Daehyun said. And humans are very good at not failing when it matters. Jiwon smiled grimly. I'm coming with you. Of course you are, Daehyun said. Minji looked between them, then at the cracking ceiling. Another strike hit. They were running out of time. Do it, she said. I'll coordinate the ground teams. Make the Krillians regret ever coming here. The next hour was chaos. Hunyo, despite his betrayal, threw himself into helping. He led evacuation teams through the tunnels, spreading colonists across the continent. They took everything they could carry, weapons, tools, food, children. The cave system became a highway of desperate refugees. Meanwhile, Daehyun and Jiwon prepared their shuttle. They damaged it deliberately, making it look like a piece of wreckage from the orbital bombardment. Inside, they loaded explosives and weapons. The plan was simple and stupid and had almost no chance of working. It was the most human plan possible. Ready? Daehyun asked as they sealed the shuttle. No, Ji-won said. But let's go anyway. They launched during the next bombardment strike. The shuttle tumbled through space, engines dark, looking like debris. The Krillian dreadnought didn't even notice them. Why would they? They were busy destroying the planet below. Daehyun piloted them carefully, using momentum and gravity to drift toward the massive ship. Through the window, he could see the dreadnought's weapons firing. Each shot was erasing part of Taeyang-3's surface. We need to stop them, Ji-won said, watching the destruction. We will, Daehyun promised. They reached the dreadnought's underside and magnetically attached to the hull. Then came the hard part, cutting through. The Krillian armor was thick, designed to withstand weapons fire. But it wasn't designed to stop someone cutting from the inside. They worked quickly, using a plasma torch to burn through the metal. It took 20 minutes. 20 minutes while the bombardment continued below. Finally, they broke through into a maintenance corridor. The inside of the dreadnought was dark and cramped, designed for Krillian physiology. Daehyun and Ji-won moved like ghosts through the corridors. They avoided patrols, disabled security systems, and left no trace. The reactor should be at the ship's core, Ji-won whispered. We need to go down. They descended through service shafts and maintenance tunnels. Twice they encountered Krillian engineers. Twice Ji-won's blade made sure those encounters were quiet and permanent. Finally, they reached the reactor room. It was enormous, pulsing with energy. A dozen Krillian technicians monitored it. Too many, Ji-won said. Daehyun smiled. Just enough. He pulled out the explosives and started setting charges on the reactor's coolant system. What are you doing? Ji-won hissed. Those will take 10 minutes to detonate. We'll never make it out in time. I know, Daehyun said. His hands worked quickly, connecting wires. That's why you're leaving now. What? This is a one-way trip, Ji-won, Daehyun said. Someone needs to make sure these charges go off. Someone needs to stay and fight if the Krillians try to disarm them. That someone is me. No, Ji-won said firmly. We leave together or we die together. Your people need you, Daehyun said. My people need you. You're the only one who can unite the colonies. I'm just one engineer. I'm expendable. You're not... The alarm shrieked. They'd been discovered. Krillian guards poured into the reactor room, weapons raised. Daehyun pushed Ji-won toward the exit. Go, he shouted. Find the colonies. Tell them what happened here. Tell them humans don't surrender. Ji-won hesitated for one heartbeat. Then she ran. Daehyun turned to face the Krillians. He was one human with a half-empty rifle against 20 armored soldiers. The odds were terrible. He smiled anyway. Come on then, he said. Let's see what you've got. And then Junho appeared behind the Krillians. Somehow, impossibly, he'd made it onto the ship. He was carrying a plasma cannon, something he must have stolen from the colony's armory. For Earth. Junho screamed. He opened fire. The reactor room exploded into chaos. Daehyun and Junho fought back to back, 2 humans against an army. They knew they wouldn't survive. They didn't care. The charges detonated. The Krillian dreadnought tore itself apart from the inside. The explosion lit up Taeyang-3's sky like a second sun. Every colonist on the ground saw it and knew what it meant. The humans had won. Ji-won escaped in the shuttle just before the explosion. She watched the dreadnought die, carrying 2 brave humans with it. 3 days after the destruction of the dreadnought, Ji-won returned to Taeyang-3. The planet's surface was scarred from the bombardment, but the colonists had survived. They emerged from the tunnels like ants rebuilding after a storm, determined and focused. Minji met Ji-won at the landing site. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. Daehyun? She asked, though she already knew the answer. He died saving everyone, Ji-won said quietly. So did Junho. They sacrificed themselves to destroy the dreadnought. Minji nodded slowly. Then we'll honor them by surviving, by making sure their sacrifice meant something. The Krillians will send more ships, Ji-won said. This dreadnought was just the first. When it doesn't report back, they'll investigate. You have maybe 2 weeks before they arrive in force. Then we evacuate, Minji said. Load everyone onto whatever ships we can find and scatter. No, Ji-won said. We unite. That was Daehyun's plan. Find the other 4 colonies. Bring them together. Humans are strongest when they work as one. We don't have the resources for that, Minji argued. We have 3 old transport ships and a handful of fighters. How are we supposed to travel across the galaxy? You don't have to, Jiwan said. I'll do it. I'll go to each colony, tell them what happened here, and bring them back. But I need your help with something else. What? Minji asked. I need to go home first, Jiwan said. To Valthea. My people need to know what's happening. If I can convince even a small faction of Valthean warriors to support humanity, you'll have allies. Real ones. Minji studied Jiwan's face. Will they listen? I don't know, Jiwan admitted. But I have to try. Daehyun believed that not all aliens are enemies. He was right. And I'm going to prove it. They made a plan. Jiwan would take the Crimson Talon to Valthea, while Minji organized the evacuation of Taiyang 3's colonists to hidden locations across the planet. When Jiwan returned with help or news of the other colonies, they would decide the next move together. Be careful, Minji said as Jiwan prepared to leave. The galaxy is more dangerous now than ever. I know, Jiwan said. But so are humans. The Krillians just learned that lesson. Others will learn it too. She launched into space, leaving Taiyang 3 behind. The journey to Valthea took a week. During that time, Jiwan thought about Daehyun. About his stubbornness, his ingenuity, his refusal to give up even when the universe gave him every reason to. He embodied everything she admired about humans. And now he was gone. Sacrificed to save people he'd only known for a few days. That was the human way. Die for strangers today so they can live to help others tomorrow. Valthea appeared in her viewport. A planet of purple oceans and silver cities. Home. She hadn't been here in 10 years. Not since she began her search for humans. She wondered if anyone would remember her. The planetary defense fleet intercepted her immediately. Crimson Talon. Identify yourself, the communication officer demanded. This is Jiwan, daughter of Commander Taiyang of the 18th Fleet. Jiwan replied. I request permission to land and speak with the Council of Warriors. There was a long pause. Then, permission granted. Land at the capital spaceport. You will be escorted. The escort was heavy. 6 armed ships surrounded her as she descended. When she landed, 24 Valthean soldiers were waiting, weapons ready. They weren't taking chances. Jiwan stepped off her ship with her hands visible and empty. A captain approached someone she didn't recognize. Jiwan, the captain said. You've been gone a long time. The council wants answers. I'll give them answers, Jiwan said. But they need to listen. All of them. She was brought to the council chamber, a vast room where Valthea's military leaders made decisions. 20 warriors sat in a circle, each representing a different fleet or territory. They looked at her with curiosity and suspicion. Her father was among them. Commander Taiyang was older now. His purple skin faded with age, but his eyes were still sharp. He showed no emotion at seeing his daughter after 10 years. Jiwan, the High Commander, spoke. Her name was Nari, and she led the entire Valthean military. You disappeared 10 years ago on a personal mission. No reports, no communication. Now you return and demand an audience. Explain yourself. Jiwan stood straight. I've been searching for humans. And I found them. The room erupted in murmurs. Several council members laughed. Humans are extinct, Nari said flatly. Earth was destroyed 20 years ago. This is known. They're not extinct, Jiwan said firmly. They survived. 5 colony ships escaped the destruction. I visited one of them. I fought beside them. 3 days ago, I watched 2 humans sacrifice themselves to destroy a Krillian dreadnought and save 8,000 lives. The laughter stopped. Everyone was listening now. You're claiming humans destroyed a dreadnought? One council member asked skeptically. I'm not claiming it. I witnessed it, Jiwan said. She activated a holographic display, showing footage from the Crimson Talon's sensors. The dreadnought exploded in brilliant light. 2 humans armed with improvised explosives and determination boarded that ship and tore it apart from the inside. The council watched in silence. The footage was undeniable. Why should we care? Another council member asked. Humans chose their path. They expanded too aggressively. They made enemies. Their extinction was tragic but necessary. Necessary? Jiwan's voice rose. You call genocide necessary? Watch your tone, Nari warned. No, Jiwan said. I won't. 20 years ago, a human named Kim Taejin saved millions of Valthean lives during the plague. He could have left. He could have saved himself. But he stayed because saving lives mattered more than his own safety. That's what humans do. They sacrifice for others. And what did we do? We stood by while the galaxy murdered them. Commander Taeyang spoke for the first time. Jiwan, what are you asking for? Alliance, Jiwan said. The humans are scattered but not defeated. They need support, ships, weapons, resources. In return, you'll gain the most stubborn, resourceful, and determined allies in the galaxy. Or the most dangerous, another council member said. That's why they were eliminated. They're unpredictable. They're survivors, Jiwan corrected. And the Krillian Dominion is coming for them again. When the Krillians finish wiping out humanity, who do you think they'll target next? Us, the Terrans? The Keeksar? The Krillians want to dominate the galaxy. They started with humans because humans would have resisted. Now there's no one left to resist. The room was quiet. Jiwan could see the wheels turning in their minds. How many humans are there? Nari asked. I don't know exactly, Jiwan admitted. Tens of thousands, maybe more across the 5 colonies. Small numbers, but they've survived 20 years of hiding and persecution. That takes strength. Or cowardice, someone muttered. Send your warriors to Taeyang 3. Jiwan challenged. Let them see what human cowardice looks like. Let them see colonists who turned farming equipment into weapons and fought a dreadnought with improvised tactics. Let them see children who grow up learning to survive impossible odds. Then tell me humans are cowards. Commander Taeyang stood. I've heard enough. I propose we send a delegation to investigate G1's claims. If humans truly survive and if they can be valuable allies, then we negotiate. But if this is fantasy or manipulation, G1 faces consequences for wasting the Council's time. I accept those terms, G1 said immediately. The vote was close. 12 council members agreed to send a delegation. 8 refused. It was enough. You'll have 5 ships and 100 warriors, Nari said. Prove that humans are worth our attention. You have 1 month. I'll need less, G1 said. She left Valthea with her small fleet heading back toward human space, but she didn't return to Taeyang 3 immediately. First, she needed to find the other colonies. She needed to show the Valthene that humanity wasn't just one desperate settlement. They were a scattered nation ready to reunite. The first colony she visited was Hasten 7, a high-gravity world. The humans there had adapted, their bodies denser and stronger from generations of living under crushing weight. They were warriors by necessity, every one of them capable of fighting. Their leader, a woman named Kyungmin, was skeptical at first. But when Jiwan explained what happened at Taeyang 3, Kyungmin's expression changed. Daehyun sacrificed himself? Kyungmin asked. You knew him? Jiwan asked, surprised. He was my brother, Kyungmin said quietly. We evacuated on different ships during the Exodus. I thought he was dead. He died a hero, Jiwan said. He died making sure humans would survive. Kyungmin nodded slowly. Tears ran down her face, but her voice was steel. Then we'll make sure his death meant something. Hasten 7 will join the Alliance. The second colony was Baiyal Station, a massive space station that humans had converted into a mobile city. They were expert engineers and shipbuilders, creating vessels from scrap and salvage. Their leader Sang-hoon agreed to join after seeing the Valthene fleet. Allies, Sang-hoon said, studying the Valthene ships. Real alien allies. I never thought I'd see the day. The third colony was Minjok Prime, a planet where humans lived alongside a peaceful insectoid species called the Hivers. It was the only colony that had successfully integrated with aliens. Their leader, Yuna, was cautious but optimistic. If Valthene warriors support us, others might follow, Yuna said. This could be the beginning of something. The War Council met in the modified cargo bay of Baiyal Station. Leaders from all 5 human colonies sat around a makeshift table, with Jiwan and Commander Taeyang representing the Valthene forces. The atmosphere was tense. Everyone knew what was coming. The Krillian Dominion has mobilized their 3rd, 7th, and 12th fleets, Commander Taeyang reported, displaying a holographic map. Over 300 warships, including 5 dreadnoughts. They're converging on this sector. They know the human colonies are here and they're coming to finish what they started. 300 ships, Kyungmin from Hasten 7 said grimly. We have maybe 30 combat-capable vessels total. The math isn't good. Math never stopped humans before, Sang-hoon from Baiyal Station said. He was a wiry man covered in scars from building accidents. What's the plan? All eyes turned to Minji. She had become the de facto leader of the unified colonies, respected for her wisdom, and the tragedy Taeyang 3 had endured. We don't fight them head on, Minji said. That's suicide. Instead, we do what humans do best. We improvise, we adapt, and we hit them where it hurts. Explain, Hanul from Terra Nova demanded. She was a soldier through and through, impatient with vague strategies. Minji nodded to Jiwon, who activated a different hologram. It showed the Krillian command structure. The Krillian Empire is controlled by an empress, Jiwon explained. She rules from a fortress world called Krill Prime. It's heavily defended, considered impregnable, but she's gathering her military leadership there in 2 weeks for a victory celebration. They're so confident in their numerical superiority that they're not even hiding it. You want to attack their homeworld? Yuna from Minjok Prime asked, shocked. That's insane. That's the point, Minji said. They'll expect us to run or hide. They'll never expect us to strike at their heart. Because it's impossible, Hanul said. So was surviving 20 years of hiding, Minji countered. So was destroying a dreadnought with 2 people and some explosives. Humans specialize in impossible. Even if we reach Krill Prime, how do we get past the defenses? Sang-hoon asked. We don't, Minji said. We use a Trojan horse strategy. We captured 3 Krillian supply ships during our raids. We crew them with our people, approach Krill Prime as if we're bringing supplies, and then strike from inside their defenses. The room was silent as everyone processed the plan. It was audacious, reckless, and had 1,000 ways to fail. It was also the most human plan possible. I like it, Hanul said with a fierce grin. It's stupid enough to work. The Valthine will support this plan, Commander Taeyang said. My daughter believes in humanity. After meeting you all, I'm beginning to understand why. You don't think like other species. You see obstacles as opportunities. When's the attack? Kyungmin asked. 10 days, Minji said. We need time to modify the captured ships and drill our crews. This is our one chance. If we fail, humanity ends. But if we succeed, we show the galaxy that we're not victims anymore. The next 10 days were chaos. Engineers worked around the clock modifying the Krillian supply ships, hiding weapons in cargo containers and replacing their identifying codes. Soldiers trained for zero-gravity combat, learning to fight in confined spaces. Pilots practiced flying in Krillian formations, mimicking their patterns. Jiwon trained with the human strike teams, teaching them Valthine close combat techniques. She was impressed by how quickly they learned. Humans adapted faster than any species she'd encountered. You're natural warriors, she told one training group. We're natural survivors, a young woman named Soman corrected. We fight because we have to, not because we want to. The best warriors are the ones who fight for something beyond themselves, Jiwon said. That's what makes you dangerous. On the 8th day, scouts reported that the Krillian fleets were only 3 days from reaching the colonies. We need to launch now, Minji decided. If we wait any longer, they'll trap us here. The fleet assembled in secret, 3 modified Krillian supply ships, 5 human warships, and 10 Valthine fighters. 50,000 people were depending on this small force. The weight of that responsibility sat heavy on everyone's shoulders. Minji addressed the crews before departure. Her voice was broadcast to all 5 colonies. 20 years ago, the galaxy tried to erase us. They burned Earth, scattered our people, and declared humanity extinct. But we survived. We hid in the shadows, raised our children, and never forgot who we were. Now it's time to remind the galaxy that humans don't stay down. We get back up. Every single time. For Daehyun. For Junho, for everyone we've lost. Today we fight back, the crews cheered. Not with bloodlust, but with determination. They were fighting for survival, for their children, for the right to exist. The fleet jumped to lightspeed, heading toward Krill Prime. The journey took 4 days. They emerged from lightspeed at the edge of the Krill system, and the sight took everyone's breath away. Krill Prime was surrounded by hundreds of defensive stations, patrol ships, and orbital weapons platforms. It was the most fortified position in the known galaxy. We're really doing this, Sang-hoon muttered from the command ship. We're really doing this, Minji confirmed. The 3 disguised supply ships approached Krill Prime, broadcasting captured clearance codes. The human crews were sweating, knowing that if even one code was wrong, they'd be vaporized instantly. Supply Convoy Delta 7-3, you're cleared for landing, the Krillian traffic control responded. Bay 12, level 4. They were in. The supply ships landed deep inside Krill Prime's fortress. The bay was enormous, filled with military equipment and supplies. Krillian soldiers moved everywhere, preparing for their victory celebration. The humans waited until all 3 ships were secured. Then Minji gave the signal. Now, The cargo bay doors exploded outward. Human soldiers poured out, weapons firing. The Krillians were caught completely off guard. Within seconds, the humans had secured the landing bay and were pushing deeper into the fortress. Meanwhile, the Valthene fighters engaged the orbital defenses, drawing attention away from the surface. It was a distraction, but a critical one. Every second they bought was another second for the strike teams. Minji led her team through the fortress corridors. The layout was confusing, designed for Krillian anatomy, but they'd studied captured schematics for days. They knew where they needed to go, the command center where the Empress and her generals were celebrating. They fought through security checkpoints and automated defenses. Humans fell, but others took their places. They used captured Krillian weapons, improvised explosives, and sheer determination to push forward. 2 corridors to the command center, a soldier reported. "Then let's finish this," Minji said. They breached the command center with explosive charges. The room was massive, filled with high-ranking Krillian officers and the Empress herself. She was enormous, over 12 feet tall, covered in ceremonial armor. The Krillians reached for weapons, but the humans were faster. In seconds, every Krillian officer was either dead or disarmed. Only the Empress remained standing, surrounded by human weapons. "Impossible," the Empress hissed in her clicking language. "Humans are extinct." "Not yet," Minji said. She activated a device that would broadcast this moment across the entire Krillian communication network. Every Krillian ship, every station, every colony would see this. "Your empire tried to destroy us. You failed. Now you're going to order your fleets to stand down, or we'll show the galaxy what happens when you make humans desperate." "I won't surrender to prey species," the Empress said. Jiwan stepped forward. "Then watch your empire crumble. The moment your military sees you captured by the species you claim to have exterminated, your authority ends. Your generals will fight each other for power. Your empire will tear itself apart from within. Or you can surrender now and at least preserve some of your civilization." The Empress looked around the room, at the human soldiers bloodied but standing, at the bodies of her officers, at the broadcast device showing her humiliation to her entire empire. "This is unacceptable," she said. "This is survival," Minji replied. "Something humans understand very well." Outside the fortress, the Krillian fleets received the broadcast. Confusion spread. Their Empress captured. Their fortress invaded. Their enemy, not extinct but stronger than ever. The fleets hesitated. Some began retreating. Others turned on each other, old rivalries surfacing. The unified Krillian front fractured in hours. The human strike teams evacuated with the Empress as their prisoner. They fought back to their ships, carrying wounded and leaving Krillian bodies behind. It wasn't a clean victory. Many humans died, but they achieved the impossible. They survived. 6 months later, the galaxy was transformed. The Krillian Empire had fragmented into dozens of warring factions, too busy fighting each other to threaten anyone else. The captured Empress was held as a war criminal, her authority shattered. The 5 human colonies were no longer hiding. They'd emerged into the light, establishing formal territories and diplomatic relations with other species. The Valthene alliance had grown, with several smaller species joining after witnessing humanity's resilience. Minji stood on the surface of Taiyang 3, watching the sun rise over the healing planet. Construction crews were repairing the damage from the bombardment.